Things are heating up in the Bay Area. And no, we're not just talking about the weather. The San Francisco 49ers are in the thick of training camp. And with the preseason just around the corner, all eyes are turning toward the team's wide receiver situation. It's a group full of uncertainty, question marks, and potential fireworks. And the big question looming over everything is this. Will the Niners make a splash and trade for a wide receiver before Week 1? If you take a close look at what's going on behind the scenes, it's not just a hot take. It might actually be a necessity. Let's start with the obvious. Brandon Ayuk is still recovering from a devastating knee injury. Torn ACL, torn MCL, and additional structural damage. It wasn't your standard ligament tear. It was the kind of injury that requires time, patience, and cautious optimism. As things stand right now, there's no clear timeline for his return, and realistically, he might not see the field until the middle of the season. That alone puts the receiver room in a fragile position. Then you have Jawan Jennings, who's in the middle of his own contract drama. Reports say he came into training camp with a clear message to the front office: pay me or trade me. He showed up, sure, but almost immediately re-aggravated a calf injury that had been lingering since spring. He hasn't practiced since. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe it's a subtle way of protecting his future paycheck while negotiations quietly continue behind closed doors. Now, because of all this uncertainty, the Niners have been scrambling to fill out the receiver room. It's been a revolving door. Equanimous St. Brown signed, then got released. Then he was signed again, only to be released once more. Marquez Callaway? Same story. Andy Isabella? In and out. Robbie Chosen-Anderson is currently on the roster, but nobody would be shocked if he's next on the chopping block. It's been chaotic, and not the kind of chaos you want heading into a season where Super Bowl aspirations are very real. And it doesn't stop there. Injuries and off-field issues have made things even murkier. Jacob Cowing's dealing with a hamstring problem. Demarcus Robinson could be facing a league suspension. Jordan Addison got a DUI and is suspended for the first 3 games. Ricky Pearsall, the rookie, has impressed but has his own injury history. Jordan Watkins is a rookie too, still finding his footing. The whole position group is clouded with doubt. And while there's potential doesn't win games. Production does. Here's where things get interesting. The 49ers currently have the 3rd most cap space in the entire league, $47 million. Only the Patriots and Lions have more. That's a significant war chest, especially this late in the offseason. The Niners could roll that money into next year, sure, but they're also a team built to win right now. Despite recent investments in young talent, this roster is filled with veterans on big money contracts who are playing at a championship level. Brock Purdy just got a raise. George Kittle and Fred Warner are locked in. Christian McCaffrey got extended. Trent Williams had his deal restructured. Nick Bosa is getting paid. This team isn't planning for the future. They're chasing a ring today. And here's something else to keep in mind. San Francisco has the easiest schedule in the entire NFL this year. The NFC West is wide open. If they stay healthy, which, let's be honest, hasn't always been the case under Kyle Shanahan, this team can absolutely make a deep playoff run. But they can't do it with uncertainty at wide receiver. Not if they want to be explosive. Not if they want to maximize this window. A big part of this discussion revolves around Brock Purdy. He doesn't get nearly enough credit for his ability to throw the deep ball. People label him as a game manager, but that's just lazy analysis. Statistically, he was one of the most aggressive quarterbacks in the league last year. In fact, he was among the bottom 5 in terms of passes thrown at or behind the line of scrimmage. Only Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco, and one other quarterback threw fewer passes in that area. That tells you everything you need to know. Purdy isn't checking it down. He's pushing the ball downfield, playing within Kyle Shanahan's aggressive system. But here's the thing. If your receivers can't separate, those deep shots become risky throws. Purdy's timing, touch, and anticipation are there. What he needs is a true number 1 receiver who can stretch the field and open up everything for the offense. And that brings us to 2 blockbuster names, Terry McLaurin and Tyreek Hill. Both are stars. Both are reportedly unhappy with their current teams. And both could be exactly what the 49ers need to take this offense from dangerous to downright lethal. Let's start with McLaurin. He's been one of the most consistent wide receivers in the league despite playing in one of the most dysfunctional franchises over the past few years. 5 straight seasons with over 1,000 receiving yards. Last year, he became the go-to target for Jaden Daniels and racked up 13 touchdowns. The guy is a technician, reliable hands, route-running master, and he's only 28 years old. But he wants to get paid big time. Right now, he's not even in the top 10 highest-paid wide receivers, and that's not sitting well. Reports suggest he's looking for a deal that mirrors DK Metcalf's, which pays $33 million per year. That's a serious number, and Washington has yet to meet those demands. Now, here's where it gets spicy. A year ago, there were whispers about a potential Aiyuk for McLaurin swap. At the time, Aiyuk was reportedly open to the idea, even listing Washington as one of his preferred trade destinations, largely due to his relationship with Jaden Daniels. The Niners might have entertained the deal, but Washington refused to part with McLaurin. Fast forward to now, and it's McLaurin who's frustrated while Aiyuk recovers from injury. It's a reversal of roles, and suddenly that deal doesn't seem so far-fetched, at least on paper. The challenge, of course, is that Aiyuk is younger and cheaper, even with a serious knee injury. Meanwhile, McLaurin would likely demand a massive new contract upon arrival. Then there's Tyreek Hill. What can you say about him that hasn't already been said? He's a human highlight reel, one of the most electrifying, explosive playmakers the league has ever seen. Since arriving in Miami, he's been nothing short of sensational. 1,700 yards in his first year, nearly 1,800 the next, and that's with inconsistent quarterback play. When Tua Tagovailoa was healthy, the chemistry was undeniable. But off the field, things have taken a turn. Hill has openly voiced frustration with head coach Mike McDaniel, and the relationship appears strained. There was a recent incident where Hill went to the media and said things McDaniel didn't want made public. And that's not the first time there's been tension. This is the kind of personality clash that often ends in a trade. And remember, this isn't new for Hill. The Kansas City Chiefs moved on from him despite his talent because of similar concerns. He's not the easiest player to manage, but he's worth the headache if you want to win now. The man is called the Cheetah for a reason. He can take the top off any defense. He's a threat to score from anywhere on the field. And in San Francisco's system, he could be a nightmare matchup every single week. Look at the bigger picture. This isn't just about numbers on a stat sheet. This is about leverage. The 49ers are operating within a very specific window, one where Brock Purdy is still on his rookie contract, where the defense is still mostly intact, where your superstars are all under contract and relatively healthy. That window doesn't last forever. Once Purdy's extension kicks in, assuming he earns it, and right now it looks like he will, that cap flexibility evaporates. It gets harder to sign veterans. It gets harder to take swings on splashy acquisitions. This is exactly the kind of environment where smart teams take risks. It's not just permissible, it's strategic. Kyle Shanahan's offense is already one of the most difficult systems to defend in the NFL. It's not because of trick plays or gimmicks. It's because of how Shanahan layers his play calls, how he forces defenses to account for motion, misdirection, and timing. Now imagine giving him a weapon like Tyreek Hill, someone who can turn a routine crossing route into a 70-yard touchdown. Or McLaurin, a precise route runner who consistently gets open even against top corners. That kind of upgrade doesn't just boost production, it changes the way defenses prepare. It forces teams to play deeper safeties, to rethink their coverages, to spread themselves thinner. And that creates more space for guys like Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel to eat underneath. There's also the matter of leadership and mentality. Both Hill and McLaurin bring a different type of edge to the field. Tyreek, despite the controversy he sometimes brings, plays with the confidence of someone who knows he's unguardable. That confidence infects a locker room. That swagger can be contagious. On the other hand, McLaurin is more reserved, but equally respected. He's a technician, a worker, a guy who's built his reputation through grit and consistency, even while surrounded by quarterback chaos in Washington. You add either of those mindsets to the Niners' receiver room, and the tone shifts immediately. Young players take notice. They raise their level, just trying to keep up. There's a reason so many top teams invest heavily in elite wideouts. Look at the Eagles with A.J. Brown, the Bengals with Jamar Chase, the Vikings with Justin Jefferson, the Dolphins with Hill already. These aren't luxury pieces anymore. They're necessities. The game has evolved. You don't win championships today without explosive plays, without vertical threats, without someone who scares the opposing defensive coordinator. Right now, the Niners don't have that. Brandon Ayuk was close, but he's out. Debo is dynamic, but he's not a true deep threat. Kittle's elite, but he's a tight end first, and his role is broader than just catching passes. Someone needs to step in and stretch the field vertically. It's not a preference, it's a need. Now, of course, there's always risk involved. Bringing in a high-profile receiver changes the locker room dynamic. It shifts the hierarchy. You have to rebalance touches, keep egos in check, manage expectations. But let's not pretend this isn't a locker room that's used to stars. You got McCaffrey, BOSA, Kittle, Warner. These are not passive personalities. If anything, a guy like Hill or McLaurin would be stepping into a culture that already knows how to hold itself accountable. That's part of what makes the 49ers a unique destination. The leadership structure is solid. The coaching is elite. The system is proven. It's a plug-and-play scenario if you bring in the right guy. And both of these names fit that description. Financially, you're looking at two very different situations. McLaurin would likely come with a contract extension request tied to the trade. You don't bring him in without committing long-term. He's earned that. And maybe that's a deal-breaker for the Niners if they don't want to tie up future cap space. But you can't ignore that he's still in his prime and has never played with a quarterback as sharp as Purdy, nor under a coach as dialed in as Shanahan. That could be a career renaissance waiting to happen. On the flip side, Tyreek Hill's situation is messier. The talent is undeniable. The production is elite. But there's more baggage. He's already on a big deal. He's clashed with coaches. He's unpredictable off the field. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad fit. It just means the front office has to weigh the potential volatility against the reward. And let's be honest, the Dolphins might be ready to move on. They've already started shifting their identity. Jalen Ramsey's exit was just the first domino. Hill has been increasingly vocal about his frustrations. Public outbursts, thinly veiled shots at the coaching staff, revealing internal conversations to the media. It's all piling up. That's not the kind of behavior teams ignore, no matter how talented the player. If Miami is ready to hit the reset button and refocus their culture, Hill might be the odd man out. And that's the moment the Niners should pounce. Let's not overlook the strategic value of taking a superstar off a potential conference rival, either. The Dolphins might be in the AFC, but cross-conference trades are a chance to improve your team while weakening a potential Super Bowl opponent. The Niners know this, and they also know what it's like to come up just short. That bitter taste from last season, from being so close and watching the Lombardi slip away, that's motivation. And you better believe John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are doing the math in their heads. How we avoid that same heartbreak. How we take that final step. Now, look, there's still the possibility that none of this happens. The Niners might decide to roll the dice with what they have. Maybe they really believe in Pearsall. Maybe they think Cowing's speed and shiftiness give them a hidden gem. Maybe they trust that Debo and Kittle can carry the receiving load until Ayuk returns. But again, that's hope. That's potential. And potential is just a fancy word for something that hasn't happened yet. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking. Training camp is flying by. The preseason is about to kick off. If there's ever a time to make a move, it's now. Before other contenders get desperate. Before the price goes up. Before chemistry starts to settle and a new piece becomes harder to integrate. Timing is everything in this league. Wait too long, and you miss the window. Jump too early, and you might overpay. But the best front offices don't wait for the perfect storm. They create it. And the San Francisco 49ers have the tools to do just that. They've got the cap space. They've got the coaching. They've got the quarterback on a cheap deal. They've got the locker room culture. All that's missing is that one piece. The kind of player who makes defensive coordinators lose sleep, who flips the field with one move, who turns a 10-yard gain into a 60-yard house call. The kind of player who can turn a playoff game on its head. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The San Francisco 49ers locker room reportedly erupted in chaos earlier this week after head coach Kyle Shanahan allegedly reached a boiling point over defensive star Nick Bosa, sources whisper. According to insiders familiar with the situation, Shanahan's frustration with Bosa's recent performances, or perhaps his off-field conduct, has reached a level that some are describing as explosive, with the atmosphere inside the team facility becoming increasingly tense. Rumors suggest that Shanahan, known for his normally measured and strategic approach, could be reconsidering Bosa's role within the team or even his future with the organization, sparking intense speculation among fans and analysts alike. While there is no official statement from the 49ers, multiple reports indicate that the coach's patience may be wearing thin, creating an environment in which players are said to be on high alert. Conversations behind closed doors reportedly involve debates over leadership, accountability, and whether Bosa's contributions are worth the ongoing turmoil, with some team members allegedly caught in the crossfire of conflicting loyalties. The situation has generated a flurry of social media discussion, with many questioning whether the tension could escalate into a formal trade request, a benching, or even a more drastic shakeup in the team's defensive strategy, leaving the football world on edge about the implication for the 49ers season and beyond. Inside the 49ers facility, sources hint at a series of heated exchanges that allegedly reflect deeper issues between Shanahan and Bosa, suggesting that the conflict is not merely about a single incident, but part of a broader pattern of miscommunication and frustration. Those close to the team claim that Shanahan has, over the past few weeks, grown increasingly dissatisfied with what he perceives as Bosa's inconsistent effort during practice sessions and critical moments in games, igniting whispers of potential internal disciplinary measures. While Bosa has been celebrated as one of the league's elite defensive players, insiders suggest that even his high-level talent may not shield him from the consequences of clashing with a coach who has little tolerance for perceived disobedience or attitude problems. Observers speculate that if tensions continue to mount, the 49ers could face an unprecedented challenge in managing team morale, especially given Bosa's popularity with fans and his influence on the locker room. Analysts are increasingly debating whether Shanahan's alleged outburst represents a momentary lapse or a strategic maneuver to assert control over the squad, with some suggesting that the public might soon witness statements or social media posts designed to test the waters of public opinion. The ongoing rumblings have reportedly left both players and staff walking on eggshells, creating a narrative that could define the team's internal dynamics for the rest of the season, especially if trade discussions or high-profile negotiations emerge as a result of the growing conflict. The media landscape surrounding the 49ers has been abuzz with speculation about possible outcomes stemming from Shanahan's alleged frustration with Bosa, with various sports talk shows and online outlets dissecting every potential scenario. Rumors suggest that some members of the coaching staff might be quietly strategizing around ways to mitigate the tension while maintaining team performance, though no official plans have been confirmed. Sources close to the situation imply that the situation could influence the team's defensive schemes, perhaps leading to adjusted snap counts, position shifts, or increased responsibilities for other key defenders in anticipation of a worst-case scenario. Industry insiders suggest that Shanahan's reputed temper in the locker room could have far-reaching implications, potentially affecting player retention, draft strategy, and off-season priorities if the rift with Bosa is not swiftly addressed. Meanwhile, fans have taken to social media to voice theories, from imagining a sudden trade to speculating about internal disciplinary actions or motivational tactics, turning the situation into a full-blown narrative that blends rumor with speculation. The tension has sparked debate about leadership philosophy in professional football, raising questions about whether elite talent can be managed without conflict and whether coaches like Shanahan are willing to compromise on talent in order to maintain control, with every media outlet eager to claim insider knowledge, further amplifying the buzz around the 49ers and their star defensive player. Speculation has intensified regarding what might have triggered Shanahan's alleged outburst, with some insiders pointing to recent practices in games where BOSA's performance, or his perceived attitude, did not meet expectations. Rumors suggest that teammates may have witnessed confrontations or discussions escalating to the point where assistant coaches intervened, attempting to mediate the situation before it escalated further. Analysts are conjecturing whether Shanahan's frustration is a deliberate signal to the organization, perhaps laying the groundwork for a potential trade or signaling dissatisfaction that could influence contract negotiations in the near future. The rumor mill continues to churn, suggesting that league executives, agents, and rival teams are closely monitoring the situation, anticipating opportunities should the 49ers decide to act decisively regarding BOSA's status. Inside sources claim that even if no immediate action is taken, the psychological impact on the locker room could be significant, influencing morale, team cohesion, and overall performance. Meanwhile, fans speculate about how Shanahan's reputed intensity and BOSA's undeniable skill could either clash destructively or create a turning point that solidifies team unity after a temporary storm. The ongoing murmur of discontent has prompted sports commentators to dissect the coaching style, the player's temperament, and the broader implications for the 49ers season, generating an air of anticipation as the NFL community awaits either resolution or escalation of the situation in the coming weeks, all while the rumor-driven narrative grows louder with every passing day. Finally, the potential fallout from Shanahan's alleged locker room explosion has become a topic of fervent discussion across sports media, with speculation ranging from subtle shifts in team dynamics to major roster upheavals that could reshape the 49ers' competitive outlook. Some rumors posit that Shanahan may be considering isolating BOSA from critical defensive packages, while others suggest that the coach could be leveraging this tension to motivate the team and assert his authority in a manner reminiscent of past high-profile NFL conflicts. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.